Next, from our friends at Bloomberg Television, a look at the work of visionary designer Buckminster Fuller, who was among the first people to advocate a more with less technology. He came up with the geodesic dome and other radical concepts to save spaceship Earth. Currently at the Whitney Museum of American Art is a major exhibition celebrating his work called Starting with the Universe.
We are living in a spheroidal universe, spheroidal world.
Usually you start small and then you expand upon your ideas. And for Fuller, it was exactly the opposite. He started not even globally, he started universally. He started with this cosmic vision and then worked his way backwards.
Fuller thought that he could find the fundamental geometrical units of the universe.
He definitely thought about sustainability issues before sustainability was ever a buzzword.
Marshall McLuhan said that Fuller was the Leonardo da Vinci of our time.
He was an artist.
He was an Emersonian technocrat.
We realized immediately that there was enough material for 10 exhibitions. We could fill the Whitney 5 times over.
One of the things that we found about the geodesic dome was that it was originally conceived to be a pavilion where what he called the world game would be played out.
One world island and one world ocean.
We have one room in the show that's devoted to Fuller's Dymaxion map projection, and it delves into the world game a little bit as a platform for playing out various scenarios of the world's resources.
The other thing about the geodesic dome, for him, this is the shape of the universe. This is how the universe looks at a micro scale, at a nano scale, and this is how the universe looks at the scale of galaxies. So it's not just a dome, it's the shape of the universe.
A lot of this philosophy actually dates back to 1927 when he was a 32-year-old man and actually he contemplated committing suicide.
He clearly had some kind of an epiphany of sorts at that point in his life, and one of the first things that he did was he re-examined language.
Fuller loved language. He loved playing with the language. He loved the everywhere, every when, omnidirectional possibilities of language. Synergy, the connectedness of everything, the interconnectedness of unlike systems. Dymaxion, which is a conjunction of dynamic maximum ion.
Man has been so very busy satisfying his innate hunger, thirst, that he's had very little time for questions about why man happens to be in the universe.
He was kind of on fire in his own way, and he was ticking to a different clock. He took the song Home on the Range, for example, and rewrote it to be Roam Home to a Dome. You know, just give me a home in a great circle dome where the stresses and strains are at ease.
The Dymaxion dwelling machine suburb model or community model. You really get a sense of a suburb. It's almost this 1950s community, you know, very sort of post-war America, but Fuller's version of it.
I've always been interested in Buckminster Fuller, a lifelong interest, in fact, because I grew up in a geodesic dome in rural North Carolina on the side of a mountain. And even 30 years ago, you know, growing up, when people saw my house, they said, oh, it looks like an igloo, or it looks like a sort of a strange, you know, pumpkin at times.
He didn't care about what the house looked like. He cared about its performance, and all of the memories and conventions and sort of comforting things that we want in a home, he couldn't care less about.
A lot of people during his lifetime called him a crackpot, but he believed that, you know, success is what happens when you stop failing. So he wasn't in any way daunted by the fact that some people thought he was out of his mind.
He thought about, as the land masses of the Earth starts to fill up, where are people going to live? They can live in the Arctic or the Antarctic, they can live in the oceans, they can live in the deserts. these enclosures, these autonomous, self-sustaining cities could float over the Arctic or could float on the ocean, and that would be the way we could continue to inhabit Earth as we ran out of land.
He lived in a time of abundance of resources, but he was planning for using the lowest amount of materials for the greatest yield. That sort of thinking is not only popular these days with my generation, but it's necessary. We have less resources to work with these days, and we have to use them intelligently.
He was a person who visioned very broadly, but he was committed to, you've got to reduce it to artifact. You've got to be the engineer. You've got to not just talk, but you've got to walk. You've got to build it. And if it works, you solve a problem. As he said, you've got to be both macro comprehensive and micro incisive.
Everybody is an astronaut. You all live aboard a beautiful little spaceship called Earth.
Buckminster Fuller, starting with the universe, will be at the Whitney through September 21st.